My beloved brothers and sisters, we live in a time where people are drowning in worry, not because they don't have enough, but because they are afraid of what tomorrow might take away from them. You think too much about what hasn't even happened yet. You lose your peace today because of a tomorrow that is not even guaranteed. Let me remind you of something powerful. You are not in control of tomorrow. And that is not a weakness. That is actually your greatest source of peace. When you truly understand that Allah is in control, your heart begins to rest, because the one who controls your tomorrow is the same one who took care of your yesterday and the same one who is sustaining you today. Think about your past. There were moments you thought you would never survive, nights you cried yourself to sleep, situations that felt impossible. But look at you today. You made it through, not because of your strength, but because Allah carried you through. So why do you doubt Him now? Why do you assume that tomorrow will break you, when your entire past is proof that Allah never abandoned you? My dear brothers and sisters, worry is not just an emotion, it is a distraction. It pulls you away from your present. It weakens your trust. It makes you forget that Allah has already written your rizq, your life, your success, and even your struggles. What is meant for you will never miss you. And what misses you was never meant for you. You are stressing about provision, but your provision was written before you were even born. You are stressing about people, but people do not control your destiny. Allah does. You are stressing about outcomes, but outcomes belong to Allah alone. Do your part. Work hard. Make dawah. Stay consistent, but leave the results to Allah. That is the balance of a believer. The Prophet, peace be upon him, taught us something so powerful. If you trust Allah the way He deserves to be trusted, He will provide for you just like He provides for the birds. They leave their nests hungry in the morning and they return full in the evening. Did you ever see a bird sitting in its nest worrying all day? No. It takes action and it trusts Allah. That is your formula. Take action and trust Allah. Stop living in fear of what if. What if it doesn't work out? What if it fails? What if I lose everything? Let me change your question. What if Allah has planned something better than you can imagine? What if your delay is actually protection? What if your hardship is preparing you for something azim? You see, Allah does not burden you to break you. He tests you to elevate you. Every delay has wisdom. Every hardship has a hidden mercy. Every unanswered dua has a better timing. So instead of worrying about tomorrow, prepare for it with Iman today. Pray your salah on time. Make sincere dua. Clean your heart. Be grateful for what you have, because gratitude multiplies blessings and worry destroys them. My brothers and sisters, the future is in Allah's hands, and there is no safer place for your future to be. So sleep peacefully tonight. So, not because you have everything figured out, but because you trust the one who does. And always remember this: if Allah is taking care of you today, He will take care of you tomorrow. So let go of your worries and hold on to your faith. Because a heart connected to Allah never fears the future. Trusting Allah completely means placing your qalbim, your thoughts, your fears, and your hopes entirely in His control. Even when life feels uncertain. It's easy to say, I trust Allah, when everything is going well, but the real test of that trust comes when things begin to fall apart, when doors close, when plans fail, and when the mustaqbal looks unclear. That is when true tawakkul is revealed. Complete trust in Allah does not mean you sit back and do nothing. It doesn't mean you stop striving or working towards your goals. Rather, it means you do everything within your ability and then you leave the outcome entirely to Him, knowing that whatever He decides is better for you than anything you could have planned for yourself. You tie your camel and then you trust Allah. Sometimes people think that trusting Allah means they will always get exactly what they... But that is not the reality. Trusting Allah means believing that whatever happens, whether it matches your desires or not, is khayr for you in ways you may not understand right now. There are moments when what you wanted so badly doesn't happen, and you feel disappointed, even broken. But later, you realize that if Allah had given you what you asked for at that time, it could have harmed you. Allah sees what you cannot see. He knows what is ahead of you, while you'll only see what is in front of you. Your knowledge is limited, but His knowledge is infinite. So when you trust Him, you are relying on the one who knows every hidden detail, every unseen outcome, and every consequence of every decision. Complete trust also removes fear. When you truly believe that Allah is in control, you stop fearing people, situations, and outcomes. You understand that no one can harm you unless Allah allows it, and no one can benefit you unless Allah wills it. This brings a note of peace that nothing else can give. Your heart becomes calm even in the middle of chaos. But tawakkul also requires patience. You may make dawah and not see results immediately. You may work hard and still face delays. This is where many people struggle. They begin to doubt. They begin to question. But true trust means you remain firm, knowing that Allah's timing is always perfect. Delay does not mean denial. Sometimes it means preparation. Sometimes it means protection. When you trust Allah completely, you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And you start saying, Ya Allah, I know there is wisdom in this. That shift in mindset changes everything. Your pain becomes easier to tahmil, your struggles feel lighter, and your hope becomes stronger. At the end of the day, tawakkul is about surrender. It is about letting go of the illusion of control and accepting that your life is in the hands of the most merciful. And when you truly surrender to Him, you will find that your heart no longer carries the heavy burden of worry, because you know that the one you trust will never fail you. Overthinking the unseen future is one of the biggest al-sabab of anxiety and restlessness in today's world. Your mind keeps running ahead of you, creating scenarios that haven't happened, problems that don't exist yet, and fears that may never become reality. You sit there lost in what-if questions, and before you realize it, your peace is gone. Not because of something real, but because of something imagined. The truth is, the future belongs to Allah alone. You have not been given the ability to see what is coming, and that is actually a mercy. Imagine if you knew every hardship before it happened. How heavy would your heart feel? How would you live with that knowledge? Allah, in His wisdom, has hidden the future from you so that you can live your life one day at a time, relying on Him instead of being overwhelmed by what lies ahead. When you constantly overthink tomorrow, you begin to lose control of today. You cannot focus on your prayers properly. You cannot enjoy the blessings around you. And you cannot even think clearly. Your mind becomes crowded with worries about rizq, relationships, najah, and failure. But none of these thoughts change what Allah has already written. They only exhaust you. Shaitan loves when you overthink. He plants seeds of doubt in your mind. What if you fail? What if things don't work out? What if you lose everything? These thoughts are not there to help you. They are there to weaken your trust in Allah. The more you entertain them, the more anxious you become, and the further you drift away from a state of peace and reliance. Letting go of overthinking does not mean you stop planning. Islam teaches balance. You plan, you prepare, you make effort, but you do not obsess over outcomes. There is a difference between thoughtful planning and destructive overthinking. Planning is calm and purposeful. Overthinking is chaotic and draining. You need to train your mind to come back to the present moment. When your thoughts start racing about the future, remind yourself, this is not in my control. Bring your focus back to what you can do right now. Pray your salah with concentration. Make sincere dua. Do your work with honesty and effort. Speak good words. These are the things that matter. Another powerful way to stop overthinking is to remember how many times your fears never came true. Think about all the nights you stayed awake, worried about something, and in the end, it either didn't happen or it wasn't as bad as you imagined. This is a reminder that your mind often exaggerates problems, while Allah's plan unfolds with wisdom and balance. When you stop overthinking, you create space in your heart for tawakkul. You begin to feel lighter. You begin to trust more. You realize that you don't have to carry the burden of tomorrow because Allah is already taking care of it. Peace does not come from knowing the future. Peace comes from truth. Sting the one who controls it. So whenever your mind tries to pull you into endless worry, gently remind yourself, Allah is already there. And that reminder alone is enough to calm the storm within you. Focusing on your actions today is one of the most powerful ways to regain control over your life and protect your peace. Many people feel overwhelmed, not because they have too much to do, but because their minds are scattered between the regrets of yesterday and the khawf of tomorrow. They forget that the only moment they truly have the ability to act in is right now. Islam teaches us responsibility, not anxiety. You are responsible for your efforts, your intentions, and your actions, not for the results. Results are in the hands of Allah, but your effort today, that is entirely your responsibility. When you shift your mindset from worrying about outcomes to focusing on actions, everything begins to change. Think about it this way. If you give your best today, you are already taking care of your tomorrow. But if you waste today in worry and distraction, you are actually harming your future. So instead of asking, what will happen tomorrow? Ask yourself, what can I do today that pleases Allah and improves my situation? Your salah, for example, is something you can control today. Praying on time with sincerity and focus strengthens your connection with Allah and brings barakah into your life. Your dua is something you can do today. Calling upon Allah, even with tears in your eyes, is an action that never goes to waste. Your attitude, your words, your honesty, your effort in your work or studies, these are all actions that are in your hands right now. Sometimes people feel stuck because they are waiting for the perfect moment or the right outcome before they act. But the believer understands that action comes first and outcomes come from Allah. You don't wait until everything is clear. You move forward with trust, one step at a time. Focusing on today also helps you avoid unnecessary stress. When your mind is busy doing what is right and beneficial, it has less time to wander into negative thoughts. You become more productive, more present, and more aware of the blessings around you. You start to notice the small things, the ability to breathe, to eat, to speak, to pray, and your heart begins to fill with gratitude instead of worry. There is also a deep sense of satisfaction that comes from knowing you did your best today. Even if things don't go as planned later, you will not carry regret because you know you fulfilled your part. That feeling is priceless. It gives you strength, confidence, and peace. The Prophet, peace be upon him, taught us to value our time and to take advantage of our present before it is gone. Today is an opportunity, a chance to earn reward, to improve yourself, to get closer to Allah. Once it passes, you cannot bring it back. So don't let today slip away while you are lost in thoughts about tomorrow. Anchor yourself in the present. Do what you can with sincerity and excellence. Trust that Allah sees your effort, even when others don't. At the end of the day, your future is simply a collection of your todays. If you take care of each day with faith and action, you are already building a future that is filled with barakah and al-khayr. Understanding that your rizq and your destiny are already written is one of the most liberating realizations a believer can have. It removes a heavy burden from your heart, the burden of constant fear, comparison, and insecurity about what lies ahead. Many people spend their lives chasing rizq as if it is running away from them, as if they need to compete with others to secure what is already guaranteed for them by Allah. Your provision was written long before you were born. Every meal you will eat, every opportunity you will receive, every amount you will earn, it has already been decreed. This doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing, but it means you stop fearing that you will miss out on what is meant for you. What is yours will reach you, no matter how far it seems. And what is not yours will never come to you, no matter how hard you chase it. This understanding brings a deep sense of contentment. You stop comparing your life to others. You stop feeling jealous of what someone else has, because you realize their rizq was written for them just as yours was written for you. Everyone has a different test, a different path, and a different tawziyah of blessings. Some are tested with wealth, others with poverty. Some are tested with ease, others with hardship. But all of it is part of a perfectly designed plan. When you truly believe this, your relationship with effort changes. You still work hard, you still strive, but your heart is not attached to the outcome in a desperate way. You are not working out of fear. You are working out of responsibility and trust. You know that Allah does not waste your efforts. Even if you don't see immediate results, something is being written for you behind the scenes. It also protects you from unethical choices. When people forget that rizq is written, they begin to panic. They cut corners, they lie, they cheat, they compromise their values just to gain more. But the believer knows that no amount of dishonesty will increase what Allah has already decreed, and no amount of honesty will decrease it. So they choose integrity, even when it is difficult, because they trust that their rizq will still reach them. There is also comfort in knowing that your destiny, including your hardships, has meaning. Nothing in your life is random. Every delay, every rejection, every struggle is part of a bigger picture. You read that you may not fully understand right now, but Allah understands it completely. He knows what you need, when you need it, and how it will shape you. Sometimes what you think is rizq being delayed is actually harm being kept away from you. Sometimes what you think is a missed opportunity is actually protection from something that would have hurt you. And sometimes what you are given is not what you wanted, but exactly what your soul needed. When this belief settles in your heart, you begin to relax. You stop chasing dunya with desperation. You stop living in constant fear of the future. Instead, you live with dignity, patience, and trust. You wake up every day knowing that your share is mahfooza, protected, and written by the most just. And that knowledge alone gives you a kind of peace that nothing in this world can take away. Hardships are often misunderstood. When something goes wrong in life, the first reaction many people have is to ask, why is this happening to me? It feels heavy, unfair, and sometimes even unbearable. But the reality is, hardship is not a sign that Allah has abandoned you. In fact, many times it is a sign that Allah is shaping you, strengthening you, and preparing you for something greater than you can currently see. Every difficulty you face has a purpose. It may not be clear immediately, but with time and reflection, you begin to understand that those painful moments carried lessons, growth, and even hidden blessings. A person who has never faced hardship often remains fragile, easily shaken by the smallest challenges. But a person who has been tested develops strength, patience, and a deeper connection with Allah. Hardship also purifies you. It cleanses your sins, softens your heart, and brings you back to your Creator. Many people drift away when life is easy. They forget to pray. They forget to make dua. They become distracted by dunya. But when hardship strikes, suddenly their qalbim turns back to Allah. They raise their hands, they cry, they seek His help with sincerity. That connection, that humility is something that ease alone cannot always produce. It is also important to understand that Allah tests those He loves. The prophets, who were the most beloved to Allah, went through the greatest hardships. Their lives were not easy, yet they remained patient and firm in their faith. This shows us that hardship is not a punishment by default. It is often a means of elevation. It raises your rank, increases your reward, and brings you closer to Allah in ways comfort never could. Sometimes hardship is a form of protection. You may lose something you deeply wanted, a job, a relationship, an opportunity. At that moment, it feels like everything is falling apart. But later you realize that if things had gone your way, it could have led to greater harm. Allah, in His infinite knowledge, removes something from your life because He knows what you do not. What feels like loss is sometimes divine protection. Hardship teaches patience, and patience is one of the most powerful qualities a believer can have. Patience is not about staying silent or doing nothing. It is about holding on to your faith, controlling your reactions, and continuing to trust Allah even when things are difficult. It is about believing that relief will come, even if you cannot see it yet. There is also a temporary nature to hardship that we often forget. No pain lasts forever. No difficulty remains unchanged. Just as ease does not last forever, neither does hardship. Allah promises that with hardship comes ease, not after it, but with it. This means that even in your darkest moments, there is some form of ease present, whether you notice it or not. When you begin to see hardship as part of Allah's plan, rather than something random or meaningless, your perspective shifts. You stop resisting it with frustration and start tahmil it with patience and trust. You understand that every test is an opportunity to grow, to get closer to Allah, and to become a stronger version of yourself. And in the end, you realize that those hardships you once feared were actually the moments that shaped you into who you were meant to be. Gratitude is one of the most powerful keys to inner peace, yet it is often overlooked. Many people believe that peace comes from having more money, more success, more recognition. But the truth is, Peace comes from appreciating what you already have. When you focus on what is missing, your heart becomes restless. But when you focus on what is present, your heart begins to settle. Anxiety often grows from a mindset of naqos, a feeling that something is lacking or not enough. You look at others and feel like you are behind. You think about the future and fear that things won't work out. But gratitude shifts your focus. It reminds you that even in moments of difficulty, there are countless blessings surrounding you that you may be ignoring. Think about the simple things you have right now. Your ability to breathe without effort, the food on your table, the roof over your head, the people who care about you, the opportunity to make dawah, the chance to start again. These are not small things. These are huge blessings that many people in the world are deprived of. Yet because they are constant in your life, you stop noticing them. When you begin to practice gratitude, you train your heart to recognize these blessings. And the more you recognize them, the more your anxiety begins to fade. Why? Because gratitude reminds you that Allah has already taken care of you in so many ways. And if He has taken care of you until now, what makes you think He will abandon you in the future? Gratitude also strengthens your relationship with Allah. When you acknowledge His blessings, you become more aware of His presence in your life. You feel closer to Him, more connected, more content. And that connection itself brings a deep sense of peace that no material thing can provide. There is also a beautiful promise attached to gratitude. When you are grateful, Allah increases you. This increase is not limited to wealth or material things. It can be an increase in barakah, in happiness, in force, in contentment, and in ease. Sometimes your situation may not change immediately, but your heart changes, and that changes everything. On the other hand, when a person constantly complains and focuses on what they don't have, their anxiety grows. Even if they are surrounded by blessings, they feel empty. This shows that peace is not about how much you have, but about how you see what you have. Gratitude is not just words you say. It is a state of the heart and actions. You show gratitude by using your blessings in a way that pleases Allah. Your health is a blessing, so you use it to do good. Your time is a blessing, so you spend it wisely. Your wealth is a blessing, so you share it with others. This type of gratitude brings even more peace into your life. Even in hardship, there is always something to be grateful for. It may be small, but it is there. And when you hold on to that, it gives you strength to keep going. It reminds you that your situation is not entirely dark and that there is still light within it. When you make gratitude a daily habit, your entire perspective on life changes. You stop chasing happiness in distant places and start finding it in the present moment. You stop worrying excessively about what might happen and start appreciating what is already here. And that is how gratitude removes anxiety, by shifting your heart from fear of what you don't have to appreciation of what Allah has already given you.